Hi there. I received this sigil during a spontaneous introspection, as I would call it. It has to be spontaneous for me because if I sit down and think I'm going to meditate now, or I'm going to carry out some ritual, or I don't know, something like that, the anticipation kills me. and it just, I don't know, I put some sort of resistance up and I just can't. I can't meditate really. I can't do Raja yoga actually. I've tried many times, but I can't. I'm just fooling myself really. Anyway, be that as it may. So I received this simple sigil during a introspective period, and after which I kind of contemplated it, having received it, and I've decided that it has some intellectual meaning for me, and of course it may have other private meanings or private significance for me that I haven't yet discovered, and perhaps never will consciously. It just affects my intuitive mind, let us say, which is, I think, the whole point about sigils really is they can be intellectually analysed, but really their meaning is beyond intellectual analysis, as you probably know. So this sigil, it begins here at this point, and it goes up to this point here, and then it goes to the left of your picture, and then it goes to the right, and it sort of finishes there. That's the end point. And this is the mundane realm, right here, mundane experience of the mundane realm of this world. And this is the present consciousness that I have at the moment, or yeah, just at the moment. And I think actually at this moment, well, in this world, generally speaking, in general, I have depressed feelings. There's no doubt about that. And my intuition is at zero level. I don't have any intuitions about anything. Neither do I have much volition either, really. I'm a bit sort of floating about. Disconnected from the senses in the sense that, if I do anything, I'm sort of preoccupied mentally. So if I go for a walk, I'm thinking about everything else except the flowers and the trees around me, and the breeze on my face. So I'm disconnected from my senses in that sense, and from nature in a wider sense. And of course, my thought is generally dispersed even when I am preoccupied with some intellectual problem. I'm just simply too dispersed to focus on the solution. And I can't sort of get my teeth into anything either, generally speaking. So this is my present consciousness. And then by some means or other, through meditation or ritual or contemplation or exposure to scripture, and by the way, we'll come on to this Gospel of Thomas extract in a minute. By some means, my consciousness rises up to a point here, to the spiritual ineffable realm. I may not have much consciousness of it, but this is where my consciousness is elevated to. But it doesn't stay there. It can't stay there because I am in the world, and the world's going to drag me back down. And so it's a fleeting vision of the Holy Grail, for example, or a fleeting insight or experience of the numinous or something like that. And then it goes shooting back down again. And I become very distracted, almost as a reaction to the clear focus, the clear, distinct idea of the ineffable that I have. And then I lose it and become all distracted and go into a sort of chaotic mental state, as it were. And that's kind of like a stage. And then it goes, my mind levels off at that particular point of distraction. But something in me remains in the spiritual realm, or retains some experience of it, And I go from disarray to focus again, and my consciousness has indeed changed. Now, to what extent it has changed and how it has affected the various parts of my mind, the feeling, the intuition, the intellectual, the connection with the earth, I can't say as yet. This is all unknown. But I do experience a change in consciousness. Obviously, this is an imprecise science, so you can't say for how long or to what degree or whatever. But I do have a change of consciousness, and as Dion Fortune reminds us, of course, magic is the art of changing consciousness at will, or with will. But certainly change of consciousness, I might agree with that, actually. Otherwise, Dion Fortune's definition of magic seems a little bit, lacking somehow, but I'm not going to get into that. Anyway, so I have a change of consciousness, and this will impact on my relationship with the world and my feelings and my mind generally. And so it's all good. And maybe concentrating on this sigil itself will bring me into this consciousness change sphere, as it were. And I'm thinking also about the Gospel of Thomas, verse 2 here, because he begins to say that it's all a search. So I'm kind of searching at this level, and then I'm even searching, exploring my own mind as I sort of snakily go up to the spiritual level. But as it says, you'll be dismayed. So at this point, when I come out of the spiritual level, I'll be terribly dismayed, and cast back down, as it were, into the material, mundane realm, and my mind even worse than it was before, perhaps, and then I'll be astonished because something inside me will remember what has taken place at the topmost point of this sigil, and I will be then the Lord of all, in the sense that I will look at the world in a different way. I've changed my perspective, so I've achieved mastery or majesty within myself, or lordship within myself, and lordship over the world, because I can see the world in a different way. I've changed my perspective. I've changed lanes, as it were, like the alcoholic that suddenly realizes the extent of their alcoholism and decides to stop drinking. And a lot of other things change about them as well. So they change lanes, they change perspective. A very good movie actually called Changing Lanes, by the way, if you ever want to see a good movie which explains this and shows this and dramatizes this. So I'm Lord of all in the sense that my perspective has changed. And this is a positive growth, and this is a positive change, a positive magical result, if you want to call it that. And it's kind of related to the Gospel of Thomas. This is my interpretation of that particular second verse in the Gospel, and all brought about by contemplating this sigil. But if you want to actually take this, when I actually looked at this sigil, received this sigil, it did actually just appear as this sort of number 4, as it were. And then there were 2 of these blobs. There was a blob here and a blob there. And I wouldn't say they were circles, but they were sort of kind of purpley blobs. And then I sort of had the idea that you draw it like, you'd come up to this point and then you go to that point and then you go to that point. And if you just want to do it, sort of in your mind or trace it out in the air with your finger, and then take the sigil into your auric field, if you want to believe in all that kind of stuff. I don't know whether it makes much difference really, but it could do. It's sort of a bit like wearing in The Wizard of Oz, with the lion who wears a T-shirt with a big C on it saying courage. So I should imagine this sigil, if you did it every day, traced it out, it'd be a bit like putting on the T-shirt with a big C on it, and you might sort of feel your way into that attribute that you want to develop in your mind. I don't know if it will work, but you could try it anyway. And it follows it's anti-clockwise, would you believe, because it follows the anti-clockwise motion of the planet, apparently. But I don't know whether that's just that is just superstition or what, really. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So that's my little contemplation of the simple sigil that I received during a spontaneous introspection.